We'll start off this presentation with, this is a condition that I have to meet to be allowed to participate in the HOA, to go into the HOA facility. I want to make it clear, I've been paying dues here for over 15 or 16 years. It started out with 3 houses, then it was reduced to 2, and now I'm paying dues on 1. And I've been paying dues and fines on this last one now for about a year. And the reason I can't get back inside of the HOA is I have been accused of being disruptive in meetings. I have to remind you, whenever I go into the meeting, because I'm a single man with a loud voice, and I don't suffer fools, and I have a limited or a short fuse and a limited amount of patience with a person who's 30 or 40 years younger than me, questioning everything I say and willing to make false witness against me. Okay? This letter right here, I can't get back into the HOA, and they have kept me out of the HOA for 2 years now on a, I'm going to label this Jim Crow. This is HOA Jim Crow. I haven't been able to vote. They send me ballots, but I don't vote. And I have requested, and they know that I have requested that any document you send to me, since I'm kicked out of the HOA, and I can't get in unless I sign this. Okay, let's get to this right here, but this is the crux of my problem with the Sundance Active Adult HOA. You have a architectural committee, you have long-term planning, you have social committee, you have all these committees, and to me it's the road to hell is paved with good intentions. You all have good intentions, but I am getting letters from the HOA. I had a letter put in my file less than a month after I closed my second and third house up here above the lake. And I was told on the day that I closed the house, this was very unpopular with the local people here. The realtor really put a blanket on that day for me. I was standing across the street looking at 3 houses. One I bought for cash, and the other 2 I bought for good credit. My chest was puffed out. I had worried for a year. It took almost a year from the time I ordered the first one until the last 2 closed. Probably 11 months, and that 11 months I hardly slept because of all the debt I was taking on. I was really making a gamble. But during that period of time, they did a bait and switch next to my house. The drain that's supposed to drain the neighborhood up here in parcel 12, the access easement, which is supposed to be a all-purpose access easement. It should be a drain that functions properly. It should be an access easement for rescue vehicles, fire vehicles, emergency medical vehicles. Those 2 portals that are on the west side of parcel 12 and about 100 yards from each other are the only 2 portals in and out of parcel 12 for golf carts and cars. That intersection on the lower Moonlight Moonlight Path and Sundance Parkway, right across from the hospital and Goodwill, is one of the busiest intersections in the town of Buckeye, probably the West Valley. I've seen accidents there before, and God bless the young policemen that show up. They show up immediately, and there's like 2 cars or 3 cars in an accident at that intersection, and then the 3 police cars pull up, and they add to the amount of cars parked at the intersection. And now, during the busiest time of the day, those policemen are more intent and more trained to get a statement from the drivers than they are to keep traffic moving. It's almost like they don't even have any training, or they're afraid to get out there with a whistle and start directing traffic. I have seen that intersection paralyzed in the afternoon during the busy time. Cars coming out of Goodwill, cars going in to the hospital emergency there, cars coming out of the Sundance Parcel 12 and going into Parcel 12, and people coming around the corner at 45 and 50 miles an hour sometimes, okay? Not expecting to see a pileup. Now, why I'm this point of view is you're going to read in this letter, I'll read it off to you, but although the HOA committees and the HOA board and the HOA lawyers all feel they have a right to send me non-compliance letters, what happened was, and I will show you later on, a Woody Scouten letter. This is Woody Scouten wrote up. Okay. I'm trying to put I'm putting too much parley-vous. I'll just read each letter from now on. I, Seward Lacham, by signing this agreement, do hereby agree to the following: questions and concerns regarding how my personal property and the common areas under the purview of the Sundance Village HOA was developed cannot be addressed by the Sundance Adult Village HOA, as they had no responsibility or authority in their development. I will no longer bring this matter to the Sundance Village HOA, as they can offer no resolution. I understand that any visible change to the exterior of my property, be it from the street, common areas, or neighboring properties, must be submitted to the Sundance Adult Village HOA Architectural Committee. I understand that non-compliance could potentially result in fines being assessed to my account. I agree to abide to the Sundance Adult Village HOA Code of Conduct attached. I will not verbally abuse or insult any staff member or members of the community, including the board of directors. Okay? This is Jim Crow. To anybody out there who's naive, this is Jim Crow. All this language down here about me insulting and stuff like that, I don't. I go in with the attitude that Tract A was built wrong. But this, I'll get to the code of conduct, but this is the letter that I have to sign. Basically, this is me capitulation to the board gets to find me. They get to watch my property for every little thing that goes wrong. Anything I do, I immediately get a letter from the board of my non-compliance. Okay, now we've got Tract A from the beginning through a flim-flam, through fraternal, nepotism, small town skim, whatever you want to call it. Tract A was taken out of service for a variety of reasons. Okay, when the plan came out here for Tract A, they had a scrum, they had a huddle, they had a backroom meeting, they had a lodge meeting, they had a powwow. The people got together out here and decided that even though the people who designed the golf course over in Phoenix, who drew this drain and this access easement and this pipe here per the book, they did it per MAG regulations, whatever MAG is. But those are like municipal codes for civil engineering. But whatever they did, they re-scrambled. What are we going to say? We played capture the flag. We're going to borrow this. We're going to massage the paperwork. Well, they created what I call dole. They created a what I want to call entitlement, 1,000-year entitlement, where they took Tract A out of service. And all the people who live in Parcel 12 have to, now if we read down, I want a Seward-Lasham homeowner, Don Bassler. He authored this, the board of directors with the authority and entire board, the adult village. Don Bassler is the guy who emceed the meeting about 2 months ago in March that I left the meeting. I was one of the candidates for board of directors. I lasted about 10 minutes in that meeting. I had a policeman meet me at the door on the way out. I almost walked up to the policeman on the way in and said, "I'm the guy you're here for." Okay? If you saw the thing with Beto O'Rourke going after Governor Abbott, that looked like me in an HOA meeting. That looked like me in the board of in the meet and greet night. Don Bassler was supposed to, we were supposed to draw cards for our seating arrangement as to the order that we answered questions and were asked questions by the people in the crowd. I got there early. I got to meet a couple of the other people who were running. Anyway, Don Bassler, with all the other 6 people, they had a huddle, and Don Bassler turned around after they broke from the huddle and handed me an ace. And he goes, "You're sitting next to me in the number 1 chair, right here." He was going to put a tether on me. Anybody who was there saw it. But getting along, that's what I have to sign to get back into the HOA, and I'm not going to do it. I'm signing away my right to question why Tract A, if you're the HOA and you're all powerful and you can find me for every little detail, how come there's a Grand Canyon crevice at the end of Tract A? Well, that's golf course property. That's not our property. That's golf course property. Well, you do agree that it is, on the plat map, a walking easement. You also agree that they have dog bags right there before you walk onto the easement. So it's taken for granted that people are going to walk their dog down through there. Well, I think for me to sign off on this, I'm letting the HOA off the hook. The HOA should be worried about Tract A's availability two emergency vehicles whenever the two portals on the west side of parcel 12 get bogged down in a traffic jam. It's obvious, I've seen it, there isn't the training for these policemen to get out there with a whistle and a flashlight and start directing traffic. When they show up to take their statements, and they take one driver at a time, one will take one driver, the other take the other driver, the other takes the other driver, and they're getting statements. Nobody's worried about the traffic jam that's being created. If we have a couple more accidents there and something happens in parcel 12, I worked on airplanes for United Airlines for almost 20 years. And I had safety shoved down my throat. And one thing about United Airlines and safety was their mantra, like in the Navy or any sailor that was on board a ship, what can happen will happen. Anybody ever heard that? The human factors, what can happen will happen. Whenever you get people in a situation and there's a lot of things going on, you have to be prepared and anticipating. And all the training, I used to have to watch safety videos for 2 days every year at United. Safety videos, everything from fall, electric, firefighting, and everything was what can happen will happen. What can happen will happen. Always be anticipating something going wrong. Even though the sun is shining, anticipate a cloud. Okay? The adult HOA right now is being willfully ignorant to of the will of the two people that live on each side of that tract. Okay? All the rest of us, I have to drive to the 7th tee box. I have to go almost 400 or 500 yards the wrong way. I have to get on a public walking easement, kicking mothers with carriages and things like that, if I don't choose to drive off the path. Some people do. Some people understand that that's the pedestrian path. And when they come with their golf carts, they go off the path with their golf cart to go around the pedestrian. But, you know, the 10%, I was in the Marines, the 10%, you've got a golf cart and golf enthusiast that from the 7th tee box to Moonlight Path, they're not giving up that trail for anybody. For anybody. I was walking with my friend one day. We love to walk and talk. We're very fortunate that we like to parlez-vous. We've been that way ever since we've met. And we were walking and talking, having the quietest, nicest conversation coming. And we were about halfway between the access easement by the 7th tee and Moonlight Path. And all of a sudden I felt a creepy feeling up my spine. And there was a guy in a golf cart right on my butt, right behind me, creeping along as we were walking at a slow pace and talking. He crept up behind us, and he was going to wait until, and he startled. When I turned around and I was startled, here's this stupid redneck with a stupid look on his face, like, aren't you going to get off the path for me? You have to get off the path for me. Okay? You should be proud of that, HOA. You should be proud of that. That your golf community here has to use the coach lab. That access easement over by the 7th tee for the 12th, anybody living in parcel 12, they're giving up their right to use tract A as an access easement onto the golf course. Okay? It's out of compliance. It's totally out of compliance. I get lectured by the HOA every time I try to talk to them. They go, and their first thing out of their mouth is, and especially this is Wayne Blair. This is one of Wayne Blair's favorite sayings. Well, there's no time limit on compliance. There's no time limit on compliance. You're either compliant or you're not. Well, there's no time limit on parcel 12's access easement and drain being compliant with the plat map. The plat map here says that it's supposed to be an access easement and a drain. It's neither. Okay? Come out and take a look. All right? Okay, we're done with this slide. We'll move on to the next one. I won't use the battery. Let's see if I can find something else. Maybe I can find that agreement. All right? But I am never going to sign something like this, ever. I've given up my right to challenge, to a legitimate challenge to this community. These people run this community and they put liens on people's house. I have a permanent lien on my house. My house is liened by the fact that I don't have the use of that access easement that's 40 feet from my house. 40 feet from my house on the plat map is an access easement. But we're in Buckeye. Buckeye, you don't have to worry about rules like plat maps. You don't have to worry about the rules of what do I want to call it? Oh yeah, civil rights. Civil right to due process. Okay? The civil right to due process. If I would have been black, a little blacker, a little deeper in color, my tan been a little more, and I'd been a little more of a record to them, and they could have established a record. Right now, this document is a knee on my throat to participate, because we don't want to hear your gripe. You have a legitimate gripe. Okay? The neighborhood doesn't agree with the plat map. We don't have full access easement onto the golf course. We don't have emergency access on and off parcel 12. No emergency. The only emergency they have for vehicles is getting the local dealer, the local auto dealer, using the access right up to Track Day, from Sundance Parkway right up to Track Day and onto the 6T box. They can bring in 2 4-ton pickup trucks for a hole-in-one contest. Now, when I see those pickup trucks drive by my house on the cart path, they both weigh about 4 tons each. Okay? And they go by my house on this flimsy little cart path built for golf carts. All right? And then they go by the end of Track Day. I envision an emergency. I envision the 2 portals are clogged up with a terrible accident on a busy afternoon. And on that afternoon, somebody has a stroke back in the cul-de-sac at the end of 233rd? Yeah, right at 233rd in that cul-de-sac, somebody has a stroke. There's a fire. There's an emergency. We have to get an emergency vehicle in there. Okay? I'm begging the HOA, the lawyers, and everything else. Everybody. Okay? Honor me. Honor this legitimate, this is a legitimate gripe. This is a legitimate question that I have of our community. I want to know why Tract A is not being fully used by the HOA. It's not. It's in a reserve status. They put that sign in Tract A and they stopped golf carts from going there. And on the day that sign went up, the equity in my house got gutted. I looked like a haddock flopping on the sidewalk with my guts out. Okay? a flopping haddock. They gutted my equity. For 2 years, if I would have sold the house or tried to sell the house, there was a golf cart access easement onto the golf course over tract A. It was there for 2 years. But the HOA got together with the owners on each side of tract A, who for about 7 years had tract A as their own little greenbelt, arboretum, privacy area. Privacy area. Nobody went on there. If anybody walked onto tract A up until that point, they would get challenged by owners on both sides, letting them know that you can't walk here. You can't walk here. This isn't an access easement. I've been challenged myself. What are you doing walking here? We water the plants here. It has a tax-exempt status. 3,000 square feet of tax-exempt, water-exempt, fees-exempt, tax-exempt status, and the people who are benefiting are the 2 people with an entitlement who are on the dole on each side for 6 years. They lost it for 2 years. For 2 years, they didn't know what to do. They lost it. And then they had an election here. And right after Jackie Meck got elected again, about 2 months after Jackie Meck got elected again, they had what was called a lost cause movement. They took tract A back. Dan Veskerna came in, drove 2 rods into the ground. I called the police. Within 10 days after I called the police for him putting rods and impeding the progress over tract A, a sign went up, taken out of service. That day my equity got gutted. And that day Dan Veskerna's and the Marinos' equity shot sky high. Within 2 months, both of those properties were sold for top dollar in 1 day. They never even had a sign put out in front of them. They didn't even have to put a sign. Those properties were sold before they put the sign up. They were sold before they put the sign up.